What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today is day 24 of the 30 days of wholesaling houses. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I decided for the month of May to do 30 straight videos showing you step by step how you can make $10, $20, $30, $50,000 flipping houses, wholesaling houses in your city. And here we are in day 24. My name is Saenz. I'm a 23-year-old real estate entrepreneur, started from nothing at the age of 18. And over the last few years, I've flipped and wholesaled over a few hundred deals, and I want to show you step by step how I did it at the age of 18 from nothing to where I am now. Guys, so get ready for another video. Today is day 24. Let's get going. Let's go. What's going on, guys? So in today's video, we're gonna be going over the 3 different exit strategies when it comes to wholesaling houses. Guys, it's very simple. There's 3 basic ways that you can wholesale a house. The number 1 and most common way that you can wholesale a house is what's called an assignment contract. An assignment. So an assignment contract in essence is you assigning the rights to your original contract to a buyer for a fee. So let me give you an example. Say the house is worth $100,000. We get a property for $50,000 under contract. So we have a contract for $50,000 with a seller. We can assign that contract for a fee. So the way to make money is we're gonna assign our contract for, let's say, $10,000. So now a buyer has to bring in $60,000 to the table, which $10,000 will go to us as an assignment fee, and then $50,000 will go to the seller, which was first agreed upon on the original contract. You know, the $50,000 contract, they get 50, we get 10, and we make a profit of $10,000 as an assignment fee. So when it comes to assignment fees, you as the wholesaler, you as the assignor, there's no closing costs that come out of your proceeds. Typically, you negotiate a flat assignment fee of 10, 15, 20, sometimes $90,000 that we've done, but you negotiate a flat fee, and then the closing costs, the end buyer pays for them. So they're gonna pay $60,000 for the property, plus let's say $2-3 grand for closing costs. Some states will have what's called transfer tax. Usually that can be, number 1, paid by the seller, or 2, split in half by the seller and the end buyer, and not you as the wholesaler. So when it comes to an assignment contract, you do not need transactional funding. The buyer is going to see what you make because they're going to be paying you a flat fee for the contract. So they're going to see the original contract, and then they're going to see what you're making. So when it comes to an assignment contract, the buyer, the end buyer, will see how much you're making. But really, that's not something to stress out about. Buyers, as long as the number worked for them, they're happy with the deal. I mean, we've assigned deals for $50,000+. The buyer sees it, they tell us good job because their numbers work for them. You know, they have a certain model and formula and process that they do where they can make money, so they're fine with it. So when it comes to an assignment contract, when you assign a property, the buyer, the guy or lady that buys your deal, now has control of your purchase contract. So if you do a 30 days closing, they have the 30 days closing. So in essence, they're replacing the original agreement. They're taking over the position that you had initially with the seller. So that's what an assignment means. It's assignment of contract, assignment of rights, assignment of interest. And throughout the process, you get a fee for assigning those rights, that interest, that property. Listen to this, because this is very important. When it comes to assigning a contract, the seller is going to see a different name when it comes to the closing documents. So if Saenz has a contract with the seller, and then I assign it to 123 LLC, and the seller sees that 123 LLC is the buyer now, they could ask a question like, hey, who is this? And all you have to say is, hey, this is my investor partner. They're taking primary ownership on the deal. But Mr. Seller, rest assured, you're getting your $50,000 like we agreed upon, and everything is perfect and ready to go. So number 2 exit strategy when it comes to wholesaling houses is what's called double closing. Now, I definitely recommend you double close on deals above $20,000. And simply because in a double closing, the seller or the buyer, none of them see how much money you're making. The only person that sees how much money you're making is you. So with the double closing, you're gonna be more in control of the transaction. The buyer's not gonna see how much you're making. The seller's not gonna see how much you're making. Some of the cons, negatives when it comes to double closing, which really aren't too bad, is that you do have to pay closing costs. So a double escrow is A, being the seller selling you the property to B, and then you selling B to C, which is gonna be your buyer simultaneously. It's pretty much two transactions in one. So it's A to B, which is seller to you, you're buying the property, and then B to C, from you to the buyer. So what happens is the buyer, which is C, will wire in $60,000, and then now B has $60,000. And by the way, this is all handled by the title company, but once the buyer wires $60,000 to the escrow account, $50,000 is gonna go to the seller, and then $10,000 is gonna go to you, and then the buyer is gonna buy the property for $50,000. But again, double closings, I recommend it when you have a spread on an assignment fee of $20,000 plus. That way, nobody sees what you're making, you get the deal done, and you move on to the next one. So a downer is that you do have to pay double closing costs because you're not assigning. So an assignment, you're pretty much just assigning the contract, and then you're slipping out the deal, and now it's A to C. With a double closing, it's A to B, B to C. Assignment, A to C, because you're slipping out the deal, getting your assignment fee, your profit. And then as a double closing, it's A to B, which is one transaction, and then B to C, which is two transactions. Again, if you want a deeper input on how this process works, just sit down with your local title company. They will be more than glad to walk you through the process. And then another thing when it comes to double closing is that you do have to sign more paperwork. Typically, when it comes to just assigning a contract, all you have to do is fill out the assignment contract, and then the buyer is going to take over all the closing docs. But when it comes to a double closing, because you are doing a transaction from seller to you, you're gonna have to fill out closing documents, your LLC paperwork. If you don't have an LLC, it's okay. You do it under your personal name, your social security that you provide to them. So a double closing does require more paperwork. But again, guys, I don't mind signing paperwork for 10 to 15 minutes if I'm making $10, $20, $30, $40,000 a month, and I hope you wouldn't either. The last way that you can wholesale a deal, this is specifically for states that don't do any double closings. So when it comes to a double closing, most title companies will use the buyer's money to fund the first transaction. So remember our A, B, C. Our C, which is our buyer, is gonna wire $60,000, which then I, as B, can use for the seller, which is A. Again, buyer sends in $60,000. Now me, as the middleman, B, I have $60,000 to now pay the seller their $50,000, and then I keep the profit. But check this out, some title companies, some closing attorneys in specific states, they don't allow you to use the end buyer's money to fund the first transaction. So what you do, and this is number 3, it's called transactional funding. So guys, transactional funding is a form of short-term hard money lending, which allows a wholesaler the opportunity to purchase the property with none of their money. So it allows a wholesaler like us, like me, to fund a property with none of my money, but provided that there's already an end buyer in place to purchase the property from a wholesaler within usually 2 to 5 days. So again, a transactional lender is only going to fund the property if you have an end buyer in place. So here's an example. We have a deal where we have a property under contract for $100,000 with a seller. We find an end buyer for $150,000. We don't want the seller to know how much we're making, and we don't want the end buyer to know how much we're making. But then it happens that in our state, we can't do a pass-through double closing where we can use the end buyer's money to fund the deal. We have to use our own money. So in this case, you can use a transactional lender to help you facilitate the process, get the money, which goes to the title company. The seller gets paid $100,000, then the buyer is gonna wire in $150,000. $100,000 goes back to the transactional lender, and then you keep the $50,000 minus the fees that you pay for closing costs and then transactional lender fees. But guys, these 3 ways are literally how you do deals all over the place. This is how you wholesale. If you can't wholesale in your state, you can do transactional funding where you can buy the property, then sell it to an end buyer. Guys, when it comes to this, each state is gonna vary, but the process is very simple. Make sure you watch this video once or twice. Again, these videos are absolutely free that you can watch on your time, and these videos is literally the process, the secret to making $10, $20, $30,000 a month in your city with little to no money by wholesaling houses. So I hope you guys are truly appreciating this and truly just diving in and being focused along this process. And with that said, guys, day 24 is in the books. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure you like, comment down below any questions that you have. I'm gonna make sure I get back to as many as possible. Subscribe to the channel, and I will see you tomorrow in day 25. Let's go.